My name's Bill Koch, K-O-C-H, and no, I'm gonna stand up and sit. And I'm 87 years old, and I've told the doctor my warranty period's running out. And he told me we don't give an extended one either, so. But anyway, I started out 16 years old, worked for George Cook's sons out on Mount Vernon plant, making ammunition boxes.
So you get more.
Oh, okay.
Want your picture.
Okay. All right. And anyway, that was my junior year in high school. My senior year in high school, graduated and went to work for Republic. And I worked in the West Hangar, that's a prep hangar. And everybody asked me, well, what did you do? I said, anything a 17-year-old kid could do that wouldn't screw the aircraft up. So this hangar here, the planes would come in, we'd wipe them down, we scrub the floor with fire hoses, and then we would open up the various access panels on the fuselage, and we would look for stray rivets that may have gotten in, and we had what they call dum-dum. We'd put on a stick and then go down there and pick it out. But the aircraft started at the south end of the plant, and there were two lines, went north, and as the aircraft came, it was cradled, and as it came, parts were brought in, like your wings. They were cradled at a certain point. The wings were attached. Certain point, tail section and all. But when it ended up on the north end of the plant, it was a finished aircraft. And they would bring it into the hangars, and we would prep them for flight. And from 41 all the way over, there were two flight lines. P47s lined up. And if you look now, when you go St. George Road, you will see close to 41 concrete, great big concrete area. That's where the planes, when they came in, would taxi, cross what is now St. George Road, and come on into the flight line there. The rest of St. George Road wasn't St. George Road. It was a great big swale in the ground that in case anything happened and that aircraft was out of control, it would hit that and flip it so that it would not go through the hangar like a bowling ball. And when I was working there, I saw two occasions where working in the hangar, the squawk box came out, you know, we got an emergency. The meat wagon would go out, that's an ambulance. The fire trucks would go out. And of course, we were in the hangar, we could see what was happening. And one of them came in over the plant, and he had radioed in that his right landing gear wouldn't go down. So here you are, coming in. And he came in on his left landing gear, you can imagine like this, until he lost landing speed. The right wing dropped down, spun around one time, the canopy opened up, and he came out. Well, they brought that one back in and repaired it, and it went out again. It got inspected and everything. Well, then the second one, the guy, his flaps wouldn't go down. And those of you who are in aviation, you know how important those is. And I don't know, what was the landing speed on it? It was 100 and some odd mile an hour.
100, 110.
Yeah, so you know you're coming in above the 60 mile, 70 mile an hour speed limit. His
40 mile an
flaps
hour then.
wouldn't come down, and that's what you needed to help you slow down. And it was the old 57 out here, and instead of like this is the boundary for the airport, instead of touching down here, he came in this way. He ate up runway. Well, we watched, and he was coming down that runway like a shot out of a cannon, and rubber. He was hitting the brakes. And he came all the way to the end of the runway to that taxi area I was talking about, and we thought, boy, we're all in deep doo-doo, you know. So he locked his left landing gear, and that plane spun around 3 times. And each time the propeller came close to the concrete, tail went up, and that's back in the days when you rolled your own cigarettes. And we were sitting there in the hangar. Boy, you couldn't have gotten the thickness of that paper between the tip of the prop and the concrete. That's how, to us, that's how close that prop was. He made 3 revolutions like that, and then he sat there and rocked until it simmered down. He taxied it on in. But the spirit of Evansville at that time, we needed 2 P47s. They'd give them 4. You know, well, you know, working on the wings, there was extra effort to keep the supply coming. So for a 17-year-old kid, that was a good experience for me. And after that, I went to 1 semester at Purdue, and then my friends and neighbors said, we need you. And they sent me on an all-expense trip. I got all the clothing, all the food I could eat and everything else. And they sent me, I ended up, the wars ended, and we were supposed to have been on the invasion of Japan. Thank good Lord it didn't occur, because I wouldn't be here today. But we ended up landing at Nagasaki, where they dropped the atomic bomb. And so that was my, from high school through my time in the Army. So, but I thank you all. And the thing of it is, we never learn from history. Think about that. We repeat the same thing over and over again. So, but Rosie the Riveter, I had a cousin, her name was Rosa Jean. She was Rosie the Riveter. She worked on the fuselages. And I gotta ask, did you use any explosive rivets? Not that you're aware of. I understand there were explosive rivets used. Now, rivets were precious. And how many of you folks remember the know the Evansville Blind Association? Okay. It was my understanding that they would, at the end of the day, they'd sweep the floor, pick the rivets up, and send them to the Blind Association. They would clean them. And they would sit there and separate by feel the rivets. And then they would be sent back. Now, can you imagine, you know, you had various size rivets, did you not? You and I, blind, we with sight, sit there, well, what is this one? We would go bonkers. Those people by feel sit there and separate it. So even those people help. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Someone said, what did you do with the scratch? Well, if they made just a little scratch, I was introduced to a fairing tube. You took some oil and put on it and rubbed that thing till it went away.
I need new knee joints.